Okay, live stream is starting. Well, good morning, Ohio Valley. Meteorologist Adam Fike here. While it might be a bit on the sunny side today, I just wanted to take a couple minutes of your time, just do a quick Facebook Live, because we're going to see a repeat, likely seeing a repeat of what we saw last weekend for our day on Saturday. So just what I'm tracking this upcoming for Friday and Saturday, likely seeing the return of widespread showers. Not as much in the way of rain as we had last week, though. Saw just over 2 inches in some spots, so that led to a lot of trees being uprooted. But I'm also tracking the chance for a couple more thunderstorms on Saturday afternoon. Main focus, though, will be some pretty strong wind gusts that we'll likely see during the afternoon hours for our day on Saturday. So a quick look at predictor for tomorrow. We see a couple showers try to move on through, mainly before lunchtime. But by the time we get to noon, we see some heavier showers off to the west of I-77. Those showers try to move on through, mainly by lunchtime though, so expect steady to moderate showers. A couple heavy pockets will be possible, mainly before dinner time. We see that line continue to move on through, so anything we see throughout the afternoon and evening hours should be pretty steady to scattered until we get to the late evening hours as we start to see things trying to clear on out. Overall, I'm expecting to see about half an inch to an inch of rain. Most models are like Barron 3K has it just under half an inch, while Gem and Barron have it between 6/10 and 8/10 of an inch. So not as much rain as what we saw last weekend, but still likely going to see pretty saturated soils. Though the main concern is really, I want to return to our chance for winds, especially as we move into the weekend. So Saturday, likely seeing the return of those strong wind gusts. So let me pull up a model. This is the NAM 3K model, tends to be one of our more accurate models. The HER and the 3K tend to be the most accurate models that we have for predicting thunderstorms as well as winds. Tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m., noticing pretty breezy to windy conditions across Ohio, seeing gusts of roughly 45 to 50 miles an hour. Though not much quite yet in the Panhandle as well as eastern Ohio, 41 here in Wheeling, 43 Youngstown, and 41 into Parkersburg. So still likely seeing breezy conditions tomorrow afternoon, though that really calms down as we start to head on into the evening hours. Though watch what happens as we start to move into the overnight hours though. Watch an initial cold front that's going to start to move on through, where we see gusts of up to 60 across parts of western Ohio. Though that line weakens as it moves to us, early tomorrow morning, still a good chance we could see some gusts of 40 to 50 during the early morning hours as we see this front begin to come on through. With that though, likely we'll see some precip as well, so not just with the winds, but you can see that on reflectivity as well. Seeing some pretty heavy showers that really just weakens out as it moves across Ohio. So by the time we get to 4 or 5 a.m., most of the heavy showers are well south of I-70, and anything in the way of those really strong wind gusts likely to continue to sit mainly south of I-70 and for parts of eastern Ohio. So morning, not quite calm. It's going to be windy. We're going to see those possible strong wind gusts as well as a couple showers. But my main concern though comes as we begin the afternoon. Notice how we start to see this rain moving out and we see pretty much rain free. Also going to notice some slight clearing more like late mid-Saturday morning. So by 8 a.m., we'll see things try to clear out like what we had last weekend. So we'll see some showers in the early morning hours. We'll see some sunshine starting to poke its way through those clouds. But that's just going to start to mix with a secondary front that's mainly up into Canada that's going to start to drape across the Ohio Valley. 10 a.m. Saturday, notice how we start to see this line developing along the cold front. The issue is as it starts to move on in, it starts to break up. Not a huge problem, that's exactly what we saw last weekend, but by the time we get to 2, this is where my concern is. Notice through Erie and Crawford County, Meadville, PA, how we kind of see what us meteorologists call a bow. It's when you have really strong winds in the lower levels of the atmosphere pushing up against this band of rain. It kind of causes your band of rain to start to bow, how it makes kind of like a C or a bow echo. The rain itself is the bow, and the winds pushing in behind it is the arrow. You see another one of those segments from Allegheny County through Washington County in Pennsylvania, possibly even Wetzel in Tyler County. So this means we could see a couple thunderstorms with some strong winds already on top of those strong winds we are likely to have. So without thunderstorms Saturday afternoon, we're likely going to see wind gusts already of 50 to 60. This threat really starts between 11 and noon. So by 11 a.m. Saturday, seeing wind gusts of about 40 to 45 across the Panhandle, parts of eastern Ohio, even up towards 40 and 50. But as we move towards noon and 1 p.m., that's when we really see those strong wind gusts moving on through. This is likely going to be sustained winds of 15 to 25 miles an hour, even a couple spots for like Marshall as well as Wetzel and Tyler County, where we could see sustained winds of 20 to 30. That's just sustained winds. That's not including those gusts that we're likely going to see of 50 to 60 miles an hour. Because of that, National Weather Service does have all of Ohio County, much of Marshall, Wetzel, and Tyler County at a 4 out of 4 on their scale for wind gust risks. Much of southwestern Pennsylvania is as well. So this means there's a very, very likely chance that we will see some pretty strong wind gusts. Already in effect is a high wind watch, but that's just for Pennsylvania, not for the Panhandle or eastern Ohio yet. That's just for parts of Indiana, as well as Westmoreland County, Fayette County, down through the ridges, and the mountains of West Virginia, though National Weather Service is anticipating this watch to get shifted a little bit more west. I might try to clip parts of the Panhandle, but not as likely. So much of the Panhandle, so Hancock, down through Wetzel, Tyler County, as well as eastern Ohio, so Jefferson, Harrison, Belmont, Monroe, Noble, and Guernsey County, likely all will have a wind advisory going out sometime late tonight or sometime tomorrow. This means we'll likely see sustained winds of 15 to 25 miles an hour, even seeing a couple gusts up to 50 to 60, even trying to push 60 miles an hour. Those are the winds themselves. That's non-thunderstorm winds. If we do see a couple of these thunderstorms, especially around 2 p.m., when we see these possible bull echoes, that can mean winds over 60 miles an hour. That's thunderstorm wind damage. So concern does lie with the potential for some stronger weather for Saturday. So good news is, though, I'm not expecting to see much in the way of widespread power outages like what we saw last week. That was because we had 2 inches of rain that really weakened out the trees that we did have. So when you have very saturated soils, you get your trees that are normally standing up straight. Winds push up against them and they start to tip a little bit. So when you get those strong winds pushing up against those trees that are already starting to tip with very loose soil, it's easier for them to tip over. Now some of these trees could already have been a bit loosened, so a gust over 50 could push over a couple trees. I'm not expecting widespread damage like what we had last week, but still a good chance that some of those loose trees could come down, as well as any low-lying branches or dead branches. So not a bad idea to go outside today. Pick up any sticks that you do have laying around outside, any branches that are already down, because we could see a couple branches that are along power lines or near close to your house could possibly come down as well. Not a bad chance, not a bad day today, so try to get outside and enjoy some of that sunshine while it lasts before we see this more gloomy weather tomorrow and Saturday. If you have the chance, make sure you have a flashlight and batteries. Now, the National Weather Service does recommend this because when there's power outages, there's a good chance that there could be some gas leakage in some spots. So lighting a candle is not recommended during power outages. Try to keep it to your flashlights with batteries. One of my favorites is they're battery-powered lanterns. They're very easy to use. They can light up a whole room very easily. They're very cheap on Amazon and Walmart for under $25. So I highly recommend getting one of those, especially since we're about to start severe weather season. That starts April 1st. In the Ohio Valley, tornadoes aren't as big of a threat. There still is a threat. Our main concern during storm season is going to be those strong damaging winds. So having flashlights and batteries all throughout the spring season is always a good idea. Since we do have that chance for power outages, make sure you do have some extra water in case your power does go out and you can't get running water. So jugs or pitchers of water, not a bad idea to have a couple of those. Since it's going to be sunny, a little bit cool, but honestly pretty pleasant for our day today. Try to get outside, enjoy the sunshine, as well as pick up any branches that are already on the ground, trim any that are a little bit loose. Don't try to get the ones that are close to power lines. Leave that to the power company and tree trimmers. But anything that's low, that's close to the ground or close to your house and windows, not a bad idea to try to trim those today. And if you have any loose articles outside, like trash cans, make sure you bring those up over the next couple of days. And if you have any stuff like grills, try to push that up close to your house, and any lawn furniture. Not a bad idea to bring that inside as well, since we're likely going to see very strong wind gusts this weekend. Now, this is a situation that is still developing, but it's raising concern as these wind gusts continue to increase with an increasing chance of thunderstorms as well. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has issued us just recently, within the past couple hours, a marginal risk for severe weather on Saturday. So this is a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. Tornadoes not going to be a threat because a lot of the storms we have are what we call low-top storms. So there's not really a column that can develop for tornadoes. So tornadoes are out of the picture. Small hail can't be out of the picture, but our main concern is going to be straight line winds, some very strong winds, maybe even some microbursts like what we saw last weekend. That chance is a little bit lower than what we had last weekend, but so straight line winds and some very strong winds, whether you see those thunderstorms or not, is a very likely possibility. I'm not expecting as many widespread power outages as last weekend, but still be ready for some power outages. Because even with strong winds, power lines you can still see power outages, especially if you have multiple power lines. So like a lot of places they'll have 3. When it starts to get windy, you start to see them start to wave a lot. If all 3 of them start to touch, you start to get some arcing. You'll get some power surges. My parents recently had to replace their fridge and microwave because their breaker box was shorted because the power lines started touching each other. That was just because of winds themselves. And that's not including lines that could come down in the winds, as well as trees falling down on lines. So be prepared for some power outages. Even if we don't see anything in the way of wind damage, power outages is still a good chance. I'm not expecting as many widespread as last time, but still likely chance that we could see some power outages. So if you have the time today, make sure to get everything in place. Have some batteries, flashlights. Not a bad idea to have a blanket as well, since we're likely going to see temperatures drop below freezing Friday as well as Saturday, well, mainly Saturday into Sunday. Have some extra water, and if you have that time today, do a little bit of some cleanup outside. Make sure anything that could get blown around is secured, as well as not a bad idea to take your flags down as well, since those are likely to blow in the wind, and clean up any branches or tree branches or twigs that are already on the ground or that are a little bit more loose lying. Now, I'm going to continue to keep my eye on the situation. If I see anything worse than tomorrow, I'll make sure that I'll hop on, do a Facebook Live. Zach and Tyler are going to continue to monitor the situation as well. We'll continue to have updates for you both on our website at WTRF.com and on our Facebook page, both WTRF and Storm Tracker 7, as well as online, on air, and on our social media pages. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy some of that sunshine.